So the last part of store is to expose and remove the waste. So many cases we know what is waste, but we don't expose it the right way. So whenever we see something that doesn't belong to your section, you need to expose it. That means tagging it, or maybe having it in the right drawer or in a specific container. I said before that whenever maybe you have something to repair, you can tag it or you can put it somewhere so that everyone else can see it. So what you can do whenever you start working on 5S is define what are the things that you will use several times a day. What are the things that you will use every day? What are the things that you will use every month? But maybe just once a month. What are the things that you just use once a year? What are the things that you don't use? You have them there, but maybe it's a tool that you were using in another job, but now you don't need them anymore for the specific machines that you have. So you don't have to keep them with you every time. And what are the things that you don't use, really? You don't use anymore, or they are broken, or they are, obsolete. So try to tag. You can actually tag them, or you can just, separate them or segregate them, categorize them, and then organize. Use this to go to the next section, store. But all the ones that are yellow and are red, so they are not used here or they are not used at all, you just need to get rid of them somehow. Maybe you sell them, you remove them, you donate them, whatever you have to do, but just get them out of your sight. Again, as I said to Eddie before, whenever you have so many things that are out there and you don't need them, they just keep your mind busy. It's a physical thing. They keep your mind busy, and they distract you, and they frustrate you, they stress you. So if you have less things in your sight, you will reduce your stress, because when you're in a crisis, it's less difficult for you to focus. These are some examples. Whenever you're doing 5S, all the things that you can find. You see cans that are empty, parts that we don't know if they're working or not, all type of things that you can find. And this is the first time you do 5S, but I bet you'll always find new things to be trashed. So that's the habit that you need to keep to be having with your team. So remember to eliminate, move, donate, sell, or trash what you don't need. If it has been around for more than 1 year without being used, that's usually the rule that I use. It depends on, you have to see. Maybe you have products that have maybe you use them every 2 years, or you use them in summer and not in winter. You have to, it's up to you. But the rule is, if you haven't used them in 1 year, it's probably that you don't need them. So just get rid of that, or put it in a storage location where it's not close to you. You don't need to keep your brain busy. Whenever you don't need, just remove it. So the only thing that the employees may complain, or maybe the managers may complain when you're doing 5S, is that there are some things that you cannot just make a decision. So employees can make decision maybe on their toolboxes, but there are some, I don't know, tubes or hoses or equipment that is not good enough, and they just have to remove them. But it's part of, it's activated in their system, in their ERP system. They cannot just simply throw them away. They have to account for that. So those are the cases where I recommend to use red tags. Have you ever seen these red tags before?
I've seen them before.
So they're pretty useful, but as long as you use them the right way, though, they have information here, like for example, the date and who tagged it, maybe the item name and the location. But it's very important to use the reason, the category, and the reason for the red tag. Is it an equipment, a finished good, a raw material? Especially, why is it that you're tagging it? Maybe you don't require anymore, maybe it has a defect, maybe it's obsolete, maybe it's scrap, or what. This is useful so that you are indicating that you need to remove this. Maybe you can't, you don't have the approval to do that, but you want to remove it from your station. And maybe this is tagging, or this is saying that you need someone to do an action. Okay, maybe you are saying that you need a supervisor to approve this. So on the back, it says action taken. This is the back. It says you have to return somewhere, or you have to discard, or you have to move, or whatever. You can write down there, hey, I need approval to remove it, or I need, to be, I need this equipment to be repaired, whatever. So it's very important that you instruct your employees to log this, and if possible, you can have a log number, and then have that logged into an Excel file, on a file where you have all the red tags. Why? You have to track them. First, because we said it's probably equipment that it's in inventory, and we need to remove it out of the system first. Before trashing it out, we need to remove it from the system. It may be even a loss. Okay, if it's a piece of equipment, it's a loss for the company in many cases. So we need to register that. If it's very old, maybe it's not even a cost for the company, but needs to be registered. If all these things need approval from management, again, it's great that it's in a list so that managers know what to approve. And you can follow that. I always recommend to have committee meetings where you have people from all the sections doing 5S, and you can have these meetings every week or every month, and you just work all together to coordinate things like red tags, or how you're gonna standardize labels, or things like that. Do you have something like that, Brian, in your company?
Something close to it, but not, well, we don't use tags.
What do you use?
We got to check to see if it's in the database for any reason, and if it's not, we can get rid of it.
Exactly. Well, that's perfect. So maybe you have access to the database, but maybe not all the employees have access to the database, so they can red tag it. In case they all have access to the database, maybe the red tag is not necessary, because you can make the decision, right away. So the main reason to use the red tag is in case the employees cannot make decisions. So you are empowering up to a certain level. I don't know, maybe you can define a threshold. If it's less than $10,000, you just make the decision. You don't need the red tag. If it's over $10,000, hey, just use the red tag so that we all know that you're, getting rid of this. And many companies, they have like an area where they have all the red tags items. So you can have the red tag items maybe, just in the same location where you had them, or you can have this specific location apart, like where you put all the red tags. So in some cases, maybe, you red tag an equipment because it's not useful for you. It doesn't have a defect. It's just not required. You tag it, not required, right? And then maybe someone else can use it. Maybe they can fix it, or maybe they can just use it because it's needed in their own section. So it's like a garage sale, you have all those things right there so that everyone can take whatever they need. If nobody needs them after a week, maybe you can just get rid of them, and that's it. Sometimes even employees want to use them. Some employees, have their own shops and they can just take parts of that and they want to use it. Okay, if the company approves it to sell to the employee, or just to give it away, as long as it's red tag and nobody needs it, that's fine. Many employees want to do that, or sometimes they even steal the material, when you just can do it, in a very organized way, very standardized, so everyone knows what can take and what cannot be taken. This is a way in a company, it's in Spanish because it's not in the US, which have organized all the trash cans by color, by the type of material. You know, sorting is, it's also about that, sorting the materials and sorting the trash, in a certain way, and they're doing by this. This is an example of how you can sort items that need to be repaired. So this is a workshop when someone needs to repair it. They just put it on a side. So for example, you go to this workshop and you need something to be repaired, you just put it there, and the people from the workshop knows what needs to be repaired. This is highlighting the work in progress or the work that needs to be done. And whenever they finish it, they just put it on a different drawer or on a different cabinet. So for you as a client or a customer of this department, it's really easy for you to say, okay, I need this to be repaired. I just take it out of my location and I put it there. And then 2 days later or whatever, I just go and see if it's still there in the repair pile or it's already in the done pile. So that improves communication with teams and within the team, because it says, hey, there's work to be done. No, go back to work. What do you see here?
Looks like they're working on organizing stuff.
Yeah, this is the sort of workshop that I did with a company. The first thing we worked on was the toolboxes. Okay, imagine they were carrying this box everywhere. They're operators. They are not the ones fixing the machines, but as operators, they usually fix some things, right?
Yep.
But they were having this big toolbox, you know. So I was wondering, really, I mean, if you only work in a machine and you're just working on it all day, there are just a couple of things that you really need to maintain or you really need to take care of regularly. Do you really need so many things? So we started analyzing every little tool that they had, and you can realize that they had many duplicated tools. In some cases, they said, no, I really need 2 of this because I need to do, you know, something in particular, or they need to fix it. Well, that's fine. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I cannot say what's right or what's wrong. You are the one that is using the tools, but you can realize that there were many things that were duplicated or that were broken. They were keep using them, or maybe they already had a replacement, but they still kept that broken tool right there. So they also realized there were different sizes of tools, but they were not organized. Some, like in this case, were organized, but some of them were all, you know, very difficult to find. So maybe you were needing a part of equipment and you couldn't find the right size, and you were spending like 5 or 10 minutes to find it. And whenever you are the operator of a machine, you know, like it's a bottling machine, you're having cans with liquid, and you know, maybe in 1 minute you get 1,000 cans with Coke. Imagine what happened if you stop 1 minute or if you stop 2 minutes. Toyota, for example, do you know what's the rate of new cars in the
No.
Toyota plant?
I've been in the plant and they were told me, but no, I don't know off the top of my head.
70 seconds. So they get a new car every 70 seconds. That's about a minute, right? It depends on the plant. Some plants take 1 minute, some plants take 1 minute and 10 seconds. So imagine you stop 1 minute, you are missing 1 car. So that's the way. If the employees know that, they know that they are spending 1 minute looking for an item and they are losing maybe $20,000, $30,000, whatever. So that way, again, time is money. So all these employees were able to organize this toolbox, and this is what they got in the end. A smaller toolbox. So they bought one because they thought the other one was really old, but they bought a smaller one. They just needed less tools. They organized their tools. Again, this is not perfect. This is not, oh, the nice to have, but it's much better than before. Maybe through time they can make it look nicer. But they also built this foam platforms where they can put all the items that they need, so that whenever before leaving the line, they know exactly what they are missing. Maybe they lost something, they can put it back. I always give the example of a doctor, right? Have you heard about doctors losing tools inside their patients?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and say, what? How can that happen? Well, they should have done 5S before and check before closing the patient if all the tools are back in their correct place. If they could check that easily, just visually seeing if all the equipment is fine, they could close the patient. Of course, they don't have to do that. Maybe they can have an assistant to do that. But if they don't have a visual system like this, where you can check, hey, the three layers of foam fine, complete, done, we go. It takes maybe 5 seconds to check it out, but you need to make it easy. And they also created here an inventory, which is, can be useful. The inventory is good, but sometimes inventory is not very visual. So shapes or foam or things like that help you very much to make it easier. This is another example where he built, this is another toolbox, but they built these different shelves with the shapes, so it's easy for them to identify what's missing. And the nice thing is that just the employee do it themselves. I give them time to do it, they do it, and then as they were the ones doing it, they feel like they want to keep it that way. And sometimes don't even want to to give the toolbox to anyone else because they want to keep it that way. These are some other options. You see, every employee is different, every company is different, but as long as you label it, it's easier to find and to figure out that there's nothing that you're missing. So to finalize